Hey guys, so today I'm going to be taking a look at Pulp Detective by Todd Sanders. This is currently on Kickstarter, ending the tail end of February 2018. I recently did a live stream playthrough of it for one of the groups I'm a member of, and there's quite a lot of interest and follow-up items. So I ended up posting it, but wanted to revisit it and do a little bit more in-depth instead of just a quick race through the game. So we're going to have a bit more of a breakdown of the cards, how it plays, and just a bit more of an overview of it. So right off the bat, this is a really early work in progress build that Todd had posted to Board Game Geek. It's not representative of the Kickstarter build, but it's kind of gives you the framework and the core principles that the game that's on Kickstarter evolved from. So it should give you a good idea of the flavour of the game. I'll address some of the changes that have been made between this build and the Kickstarter as we go through. So effectively this is a card and dice game. You have a core deck which has 3 different card types. These are represented on the back by letters. You've got C, F and I. We'll look at those in a moment. You have some core investigation dice and some that you can add additionally later on. There's some tracking information. This is your case reference card. Gives you a little bit of lore about the case and also serves as your time tracker. Each case has 24 hours to complete. If you don't complete the case in the time, you lose. We'll be starting on hour 24 because we're a beginner. You can adjust the difficulty by starting earlier. So we'll put that there to track. This tracks your stamina and clues. Because we're a beginner, we'll start on a stamina of 4. Your stamina is directly relational to how many of the yellow investigation dice you get to roll. As time progresses, you will either gain or lose stamina potentially. If you gain, you can get access to 1 more yellow die or a yellow reroll. Just remembering what had already been re-rolled originally. As you become lower on stamina, you get more desperate in your investigation, so you can use time to pay for rerolls. You have an item tracker as well. So as the game goes through, you might gain access to items that are useful throughout your detective process. So the aim of the game is to find 4 clues hidden within the deck, and once you've got your 4 clues, here's the clue tracker, start on 0. Once you find your 4 clues, you get to interrogate the relevant suspect. So here's a suspect card. It's double-sided with 2 suspects each side. So yeah, if you find your clues, it leads you to a suspect and then you get to interrogate them. And if you win that interrogation, you win the game. So onto the cards. Let's actually look at our character. So there's several different characters to play. It's double-sided. And my special action for this playthrough is a reroll 1 yellow investigation dice when investigating an informant or the criminal once during any phase 2 or phase 3. So we'll get on to that. So these are the 3 core card types. You have C, F and I, which is cliffhangers, follow a lead, and informants. Now, generally speaking, these cards will deliver you typically, but not always, certain things. So a cliffhanger is usually related to stamina. Follow a lead is usually related to items, and informants are usually related to clues. So you get the little icon as well to tell you. So stamina is guns, items the little hat, and clues the question mark. So the way you beat an investigation is to roll your investigation dice and match the symbols. So depending on which hour you are in the game, so at the moment we're on hour 24, you take the relevant bar. So on hours 24 through to 18, we would be on the top bar. As soon as we hit hour 17, we move down to the middle bar, and then when we hit hour 10 and below, the bottom bar. You roll your dice to try and meet the conditions. So for this cliffhanger, we would be trying to roll 2 connect the dots, the eye symbol, and 1 newspaper, which is the word on the street. If we were to complete that successfully, we would gain 1 stamina. However, if we fail to complete this card, we lose an hour in time. Other things that you can lose include stamina, as well as items. So that's basically how the investigating a card works. The way you get your cards is you shuffle all the different card types together, and you draw 3, all the cliffhangers. You choose 1 to keep, 1 to discard, and 1 to put back in the deck. So we'll discard this one, we'll keep this one stays face down, back in the deck. So we're on hour 24, so these are the win condition at this investigation phase. So some of the icons have an asterisk. If they do, that means that icon is represented twice on that particular die. So that could influence which die you roll in which particular order. So at the moment we're stamina 4, so we get to utilise all of the dice on hand. And it's not weighted particularly differently for requiring 2 of a particular type. So the order doesn't really matter, but we roll them 1 at a time. So news, so the word on the street icon, we need that. News again, not so favourable. No. And that. So we only met 2 of the 3 required. So we would lose an item in this instance, but we don't actually have any items on hand, so that's not too terrible. So that gets discarded, and we gain 3 new cards. So at the moment, I'm not really fussed about gaining more stamina, so I think I will discard this one. I would like to have some items, so we'll keep hold of this one, put this one back in the deck, and we'll just revisit an item that I missed. So these were the dice that I'd rolled, and because the investigation wasn't successful, I can choose one of these icons to bank for a future investigation. So these are my twist markers, so I'm going to choose to keep hold of the word on the street. So I'll take one of these, put that there. If you successfully complete the investigation card, you don't get to do that, but on a failed attempt you can bank that. You can only keep a maximum of 4 of these markers. The first 2 that you keep on hand are free, but should you want to keep a 3rd or a 4th, it will cost you hours in time, and if you run out of time you lose. So there's that risk reward kind of thing going there. So I've got my card. I've got to make the rounds, word on the street, and persuasion of the icons I'm looking for. I've got a word on the street from my previous roll. So make the rounds, word on the street. So I'm looking for a persuasion now, which we get. Because I didn't have to roll the other die, there is a mechanic where you get to look at one of the cards or possibly the top card. I don't recall, I'll have to check and follow up on that. We'll bypass that for now. But I was successful, so I get to gain an item. Unfortunately, the way you gain items is by referencing the pip, and whichever pip number is displayed relates to an item here. So I don't actually get anything from beating this card, but I don't lose anything either. So that goes to there. I should have moved time down. Let's move time down again. So, and because I met the win conditions, I don't get to take another marker. Alright, so I'm going to take the informant card and keep hold of that because I'm trying to get clues. And new round, so move the icon down. So I'm looking for make the rounds, word on the street, and persuasion. So I've already got one of those banked. So potentially here we could gain a clue. So connect the dots is no good to us. That is, so is that. There we go. So we've got all three, and so we gain a clue. So we move our clue tracker up by 1, and because it's the first clue with uncovered, we also gain 1 stamina, so that puts us on stamina 7, still the 4 yellow dice. My character's ability as well is for informants. I can re-roll 1 yellow investigation die, so I didn't need it that turn, but worth remembering. So 3 new cards. Time moves down. I'm feeling pretty positive, so we're going to keep the informant card, get rid of the follow the lead, put this back in the deck. Okay, so our 14 is the middle row, so we're still on the 24, so we need 3 of the persuasions for this, so certainly want these 2 on hand. First time round, where this becomes useful is if we look to re-roll one of these, this will be the most beneficial die to re-roll. So that's a miss. Also a miss. Miss. And another miss. So there's no point in re-rolling just one of them, because we don't have the others. So our lose condition is we lose time. So we're losing an hour there. Back into the discard pile. And we get to keep one of these icons. So we'll keep the connect the dots, the little eye symbol there. That doesn't cost us any time because it's only the second one. So play continues like this until you either run out of time or make successfully complete and get the 4 clues. So we'll go for a cliffhanger here. Discard this one. Put this in here. So we're at hour 24. Time goes down. So we've already got our news on banked. There's the first persuasion icon. 1 news. Looking for another bullet symbol. Oh, swing and a miss. So we would lose another hour's time. Discard. So on and so forth. So that's kind of the basics of the game. The items can allow you to gain extra time, extra stamina, re-roll dice, utilize your icons more, increase stamina, things like this. So they're a way to better your odds throughout the game. And then once you get all 4 clues, you have to play through the same kind of investigation phase as you do for all the other cards. So if we take a look at this one, if this was our prime suspect, we would have to roll these symbols and 2 of the persuasion specifically. So each suspect has different win dice conditions, and you can actually pay with time to re-roll dice. You can't utilize your items, but you can utilize your character ability should it be applicable in that situation. So that's the game in a nutshell. It's a great little solitaire game. It does have a 2-player mode. I've not had a chance to get into that yet. As I say, the work in progress build that this is doesn't have some of the niceties at the Kickstarter. It only has the 1 case. It doesn't have the same mechanics. So in the new build, you would have your main story starting point, and each card has a symbol on each edge. And when you play through your cards, if you were able to match those symbols, it can grant you things like rerolls. So you can build your story across like this, and then you can also match symbols top to bottom for story arcs. So thematically that's really nice, and also the fact that you're trying to play cards with greater synergy to build that story out is a really nice touch, and it adds another layer of strategy and replayability to it. So I really like the idea of that, but as it stands, I think this is a great little game. Even in this early build, we've got the early representation of double cross. So this is one of the early cases. So in this one, you see that the time tracker actually has symbols, so that's relevant for different times of the day. We've also got a whole stack of different cards in here. There's more detectives or character cards. You've got sidekicks as well. Whole stacks of stuff. And this, as I say, this is the early days. There's so much more content in the Kickstarter version. Not even once you get into stretch goal territory. So tons of stuff there. Overall, as I say, I love this game. I've beat it a few times now, and when I don't beat it, it's got that very much so. It was close. I didn't feel cheated. The fact that it's got dice doesn't put me off this. I think you can leverage taking markers on failed investigations, strategically choosing which card to play next in terms of balancing your stamina against items, against the need for informants. The fact that you can, when you're on your last legs of stamina, use time to re-roll, to add things in your favour, the markings to know which dice are weighted better to which icons and stuff like this, I think really balances out the game, even though it is with that dice element. So I think it's great. I really encourage you to check it out on Kickstarter. I'll post links below. Any questions, any feedback, let me know. Yeah, check it out. Enjoy gaming.